So God just made the covenant, and we will continue in verse 12 to what God said. Today we are only dealing with one aspect of the government, of the covenant, and that is God's signature. You see, let's start reading this, and then we will discuss it so you can understand what I'm saying. And God said, "This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my," here it goes, "my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth." Wow, that's a lot here. God made the covenant previously, and here he outlines the details of the covenant as contained in a contract. When I entered into my marriage covenant at church, I remember that it had to be sealed with the officiating signature, which in our case was the pastor. He, the witnesses, and the guests were there to make sure that the wedding was finalized. As a covenant, the agreement was until death us do part. Now, a band's wedding, on the other hand, a band's wedding announcement in some countries requires no signature from the parties marrying each other at all. It still requires the signature of the official or the pastor. See, that's my point. God said, "I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you," etc. The agreement was made between God and all of mankind until the end of earth's existence. All I can say to that is, wow. So as such, God's signature would have to be universally recognizable and unique. It had to be a God thing. God said, "This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature with you for an everlasting generations. I set my bow in the cloud." Folks, the rainbow is God's signature. Do you get it? And God said every time he brings a cloud in front of the sun, he will see the rainbow as a reminder, this is my signature. And the rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. First, let's examine this token, this signature, this covenant. First, God said, the covenant is everlasting. Well, it had to be. God is everlasting, right? So first, the covenant is everlasting. The second thing we notice, the covenant is between God and all living creatures, including us, mankind. The third thing we notice is the covenant is called by God my covenant. The keeping of the covenant was to be by God. No matter what we may think or feel. And the fourth and final thing that we notice about God's covenant here made with Noah, God's seal and signature of this binding covenant was signed by a unique sign or token. My bow in the cloud. Our next lesson will talk about what token really means in Hebrew. But here let's see what God really has to say. Since the rainbow is caused by light shining through water, God said, it shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Our Lord God called the rainbow my bow. It was not meant to be a symbol for some perverse movement of people glorifying the deviant and demeaning perversion of homosexual desires and sexual self-identification and gratification. It was a symbol set up by God, illustrating in no uncertain terms His matchless grace. Sorry, the emphasis cannot be strong enough. Our Lord God called the rainbow my bow. It was His signature forever. It's not by accident that some deviant human beings decided that they would use that symbol as their own. And you know who's behind that? None other than Satan.